Hey guys, today I'm going to share ideas on lighting for males. My name is Ghionis. I'm a wedding portrait and fashion photographer. I've been photographing for almost 30 years and teaching for 20. In this tutorial, we're going to teach you how to light men and how to go from this to this. By the way, I have this amazing course, the Portrait Photography Quick Start. Click on the link and download it for free. Enjoy. All right guys, so I'm here actually photographing in full sun. I have no fear in photographing in full sun, but it's quite tough. You can see Jacob's actually already struggling to actually even look at what's going on right now. So I'm gonna basically ask him to close his eyes, just relax a little bit, and on the count of three, look at the camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got a shot. So he's struggling, that's okay. Some people will be a bit more sensitive to light than others, that's okay. Now, some of us may have the idea of putting our male subjects, and female for that matter, actually in open shade. But let's have a look at what that looks like. Okay, so come nice and close to me. Okay, just about there. Okay, the lighting is flat, makes his skin look really good, but there's really no depth and drama, but I'll take it anyway. Let's have a look. All right, close your eyes for a second. 1, 2, open. Okay, so we've got that one. All right, so on the other hand, we might actually shoot in the opposite way. So now we've got open shade that's reflecting back off the sun. Now this might be a great location, but it's actually my garage, but the lighting's gonna be a little different still. Okay, just there. Ready, eyes at me. Okay, and he's struggling still. Okay, so many of us are tempted to actually always backlight, and there's not a problem with that, but what you have to understand is that the light coming from behind will never give us also a good quality of light from the front unless it's being reflected by something, or we're adding in a strobe or something to that effect. But if we're tempted to do it the easy way, simply just backlight everybody, then we're going to get a shot like this. So he's looking at me. Great, I get the shot. So you'll see the difference between the sunlight shot, the backlit sun shot, then we've got the open shade, and then we've got the open shade in a different area, and you can sort of see that it's okay, but I wouldn't really call that lighting. It's just sort of like, well, stand there and let's hope for the best. The idea is that we want to create mood and depth and dimension and character and say something about who we're photographing, and that's where these lighting tips that we're going to share are going to work for you. So we're in my garage, my glorified studio here. We have the garage door open and we have natural light basically coming through here, illuminating Jacob. Now, this could be likened to whether it's actually a window light, whether it is in fact a garage door being open, whether it's a strobe, it doesn't really matter. We've got a big light source illuminating our guy, Jacob, and now we actually need to learn what are we looking for when we're photographing a guy. What is considered more masculine? What's considered a bit softer and feminine? Well, it really depends on what we're trying to say. And that's just it. If I was to be asked, well, Jerry, what does good lighting mean? I believe good lighting is either flattering and or it helps communicate the message that the artist is trying to convey to the viewer, in this case, you. So right now we have Jacob sort of facing the camera perfectly. We have light coming from one side. And basically what we're getting right now in my camera, as you can basically see, it's a very masculine quality of light. Now, what do I mean when I say masculine? Masculine means it's a bit harder, it's a bit contrastier. In this case, we have one side of his face being lit, the other side is in complete shadow. So if, for example, we had a female face or a female form with this kind of lighting, and maybe we didn't have so delicate features on that female face, what happens is if you use this, what I call contrasty masculine light, well, that would actually not be very nice and not be very flattering on that female form. In like manner, when we go back to the male face, this guy, he's a good-looking dude, no problem. And it doesn't matter how good-looking or how challenging your subjects are, it's really up to you and I to bring out the best in our subjects. So right now, Jacob is facing the camera, as we said. I'll get his hands in his pockets. We're going to basically be focusing on head and shoulders for the moment. And right now, I'm just going to get you to hang your body a little bit more forward and then chin down a little bit, eyes at me. So no smile for this one, just passive, really cool. And basically the way he's looking at me right now, it's quite passive, which is what I asked for, but it almost looks like he's just looking into nowhere. I find that when you're photographing anyone for that matter, if you want to get a bit of mystery in the eyes, for decades I've been saying, give me a little hint of a squint. That's it. Got a bit of brow pressure there, which looks really cool. Hold it there. All right, so as you can see, we just have a very masculine quality of light, one direction of light. We've got no hair light, and it looks really, really cool. Now, do I turn his body and his face towards the light? And if so, what does it do? So remember, we have one direction of light. He's looking into the camera. One side of the face is being lit, one side is not. I'll often get asked the question, Jerry, when I'm lighting a guy, when I turn his face towards the light, when do I stop? Well, let's try this. So what I want you to do, mate, is I want you to turn your face this way and turn. Okay, so we'll come to what this lighting situation is all about in a moment. But what I want you to do is we're starting on the light side of your face. So I can see more skin than I can see shadow. So more of your face is in light than it is in shadow. What I want to do now is I'm going to get you to tilt the top of your head towards the light. Stop there. And now I want you to turn your face. Keep on turning, stop. Now, as you can see, when I'm actually looking at him, I've turned his face until the eye socket that's closest to the camera, which now has become his left eye or our camera right, I stop his face until his complete eye socket is completely lit. Now you might say, why are you so particular by saying eye socket? Well, if he turns his nose this way, so turn, stop, now that shadow is cutting into his eye. Depending on the face and how attractive the face is, then it depends on how far we can get away with it. My suggestion is either get the eye completely lit or not. So before, if you remember, we had his face half lit and half not. In this case, I start with his face away from the light. Let's do that. And now, Jacob, turn your face towards the light very slowly. Slow. Follow my hand. Follow. And now I can just see the corner of his eye completely lit. That's where I stop. Now that makes me shoot on the shadow side of his face, often referred to as the short side or the narrow side, or I call it the sexy side. And then we just simply shoot in that way. Perfect. So if you look at the difference, we've got straight, a photograph with split lighting on one side, not the other. Then we're actually shooting him on the short side of the face. What we'll do, mate, is I'll actually just shoot you with a passive look. So turn your face this way again, turn your face that way. Good, hold it there, perfect. So as you can see, I've turned his face towards the light until this eye socket that was in shadow is completely lit. Why do I stop when the eye socket is lit? Because now I get that beautiful depth and dimension of his cheekbone and his jawline, and life is good. So now that I'm shooting him on the shadow side of the face, would this shot look good shooting him on the light side of his face, often referred to as the broad side? I actually quite like it for guys, especially with a slim face like Jacob's. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tilt your face. We are going to do split lighting, but we're going to do split broad. We're shooting with one side of your face being lit, but you're turning your face this way, and then now eyes back at me. You can see how the quality of light is a little bit different on his face. Okay, so chin a little bit more down this way. Good, eyes at me. Really cool. Hold it there, mate, hold it. Hint of a squint. Awesome, hold it. Very cool. So you can sort of see how this shot looks really cool being the broad side. It makes him look fuller in the cheeks, but it brings out a lot of character. He gets away with it because he's got a slim face. If we go back to that other one, that looks really cool, that short side of the face. And then of course you've got the split side. Now, what happens if we're photographing him front on with a good quality of light? Well, that'll be less descriptive. His skin will look even smoother than it already does because he's a young guy, but you will see the difference as we do it. So now what I've done is I've actually placed myself where the light is coming from. So in this case, the garage door being open, this could very much be the same as me standing in front of a window and positioning my subject right over here and then facing him with the light and of course my camera. Now you'll notice that it's softer on the skin, great, it's less descriptive. But depending on the nature of what you want, this might be what you need. For example, if you're photographing maybe parents or grandparents with aging or mature skin, this might be the direction that you want to go for. If you want to actually photograph texture and depth and dimension, then lighting coming from the side, as we basically did before, that will bring out more shadows, which will actually give you that drama. Right now, there's no drama. We're just doing clean portraits looking at the camera. So let's just do that right now. Okay, eyes at me, mate, just passive is cool. Good, hold it. Good. Nice clean portrait. It's okay, it's nice. I guess that's all it is. It's nice and it's safe. For me, even more important than lighting is actually shadows. In this case, I don't get any shadows really whatsoever. Maybe a little bit underneath his jawline because the light's sort of coming from up high. Let's see what happens when he turns his face one way or the other. So let's just turn your face a little bit this way. Turn. Now you can see how very subtly he actually turned his face to the background, and the background is quite dark, so it cut away light. That is actually going to look really good for him because now we're adding depth and dimension where we didn't normally. If he, for example, was in open shade is in the shade of a building or a house, and he was facing outwards towards the light source, it would be no different than seeing a result like we just had a second ago, which you can see right here. But if we turn his face to something dark, like a wall, or even tilting his face more to the ground and or the wall cuts away the light, adding a little bit of shadow by simply angling his face. Let's do it the other way and see what happens. Okay, so turn your face that way. Good, turn. That's it, just there. Awesome, man. Hold it there. Good. So we got a similar result. Why? Because actually we're shooting inside the garage here. My exposure is set for the quality of light coming through, and then all of this, there's the ambient light, it's not really giving it much light anyway. So I quite like the fact that if we have to photograph front on, or if we're tempted to, simply angling the face one way or the other against a darker object, then that's going to give us a little bit of depth, dimension and form. So for example, if you're photographing someone with a fuller face, with bad skin, maybe a bit of acne, this might be the great way to do it because you're shooting with softer light, as in light coming from where the direction of the lens and the camera is, and the photographer, light is flooding onto the subject, therefore it's less descriptive, we're not describing shape, and we get beautiful skin. But now when we tilt his face, we add a little bit of shadow. So for the plus size guy, for example, we're cutting away light in some ways by turning his face, but we're adding the softness of the light coming through, which is probably a good balance of that particular subject matter. Now let's change our lighting situation and add just an extra element of light and see what we get. So I'm going to move in this direction. And Jacob, I'm going to get you to stand right there for me. Let's have a look at the lighting on you. Very nice. And let's adjust and play. So what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm actually going to use two ice lights. For those of you who don't know, I'm the inventor of the ice light, and I'm very, very proud to say that it's sort of in most photographers' camera bags, which is really cool. And what we're doing here is we're going to use one ice light to, first of all, to separate him from the background, and then we're going to also use a light on the background to just add a little bit of drama and depth as well for that really masculine quality of light. So barn doors are basically a way of cutting away light. So think of it like this. Light travels in straight lines. So if your light source is over here, it's going to travel in straight lines and it's going to illuminate anything in its basically path. Now what I want to do is I want to create a beam of light on that background to basically bring the viewer's eye, in this case you, the viewer's eye, right into my subject matter, and it's going to look really cool. If I just put the light on the background, the whole background will be lit. But I want this beam of light leading your eye into the actual photograph. So I'll be using this in a moment. First of all, I'm going to photograph a portrait of Jacob just with the natural light coming through. Again, that could just be a big softbox, that could be a big window light, it could be a garage door that's open. Doesn't really matter. We just need a direction of light that's actually illuminating our subjects. And then of course we're going to refine and chop and change and get different looks. And really when I say there's no right or wrong, yes you can be more flattering, yes you can be more purposeful, but more importantly you've got to do what suits what you're trying to say. In this case, I just want to make him look freaking really cool. Simple as that. So actually let's get Jacob in the darkness and you'll see the quality of light change on him as he comes closer to the light. So let's just start you over this way, mate. Okay, so he's basically in the shadows. All right, so now as we bring him closer, just walk really slowly, nice and slow towards the window, or in this case, the garage door, of course. Stop there, perfect. So he's wearing black. He's also a brunette, so he's just sort of blending into the background. Personally, I think that's okay. I quite like dramatic sort of shots like that. I don't feel like I always have to have a light separating him from the background, but it's pretty cool too as well. So let's try a few different ways. So first we'll do a shot. Let me have a look here. Now, what we can see here is there's split lighting, but there's a little bit of light touching the other side of his face, consistent with what you've probably heard called Rembrant lighting. Rembrant lighting is when either one eye or both eyes are in shadow, and it's considered a very masculine quality of light. So turn your face this way. Actually, turn your shoulders towards the light. It's a really good tip as well, guys, that whenever you're photographing a guy, if you point his body towards the light source, it's going to make him look bigger and broader, whereas with a female form, you turn the body away from the light source and the face back in. But for guys, turn the body towards the light and the face towards the light as well. Bigger and broader. We turn his face, like we said before, until the eye socket that was not lit is completely lit. So that's it. Turn this way. Good. Eyes at me. Really cool. Hold it there. Okay, so as you can see there now, it's nicely lit. The background's pretty dark. It works well. But let's add some depth and dimension, and now we're going to add a continuous light, in this case the ice light, as a little bit of an edge light. It's going to hit a bit of his jaw, it's going to hit a little bit of his hair, and let's see what happens. From this particular angle, I draw an imaginary line from this light source to his face. If this light can hit his nose, it's going to look weird. So what I do is, I position myself where I can just miss his nose, and then I bring the light source a little bit higher. I'm going to turn it on, and that's going to separate him from the background, and then just add that little cool professional touch. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, that looks really good. It's cool because it adds a little bit of a hair light to the equation as well. Cool, man. Hold it there. So this case, just looking passive, good. Hold it. Let's look at the difference now. So you've got no hair light, no edge light, with. And I think we can actually honestly say that looking at this looks like the more professional kind of quality of light. You wouldn't get this from an amateur, it just wouldn't happen. But this is the cool thing. You might not have an ice light, you might not have a big strobe. All this has to be is some light source, in this case a window or a garage door being open. This could also be another window over here. So remember, if you ever walk into an environment where there's two windows, put your subject in the corner, turn their face to the light, open up the blinds behind them, and now you've got this beautiful hair and edge light, and then you've got this sort of main light source as well. This could even be an iPhone light for all you know. So let's leave that there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come nice and close to this background, turn this light on. You see how it gives us a really, really cool beam? So I want that separating him even further from the background, but leading your eye into the shot. So I'm bringing this light closer to the background, so I basically see more contrast. I see more an obvious highlight and more of an obvious shadow. It's going to be out of focus, but we will see the difference. That's really important. Actually, I quite like that little beam of light. He's got a very, how do I say, a really sort of cool Hollywood kind of a look, and I quite like the fact that the light's coming from the top and it's sort of beaming down almost like a spotlight. And then you've got that light hitting his hair and hitting his jawline, which looks really cool. And I'm going to bring this even closer to him so I can get a bit more contrast. Again, draw an imaginary light between him and his nose. Make sure it doesn't touch it, otherwise you'll see the light on the tip of his nose, so it's going to look a bit weird. And now, so lean forward, turn your face this way. Good. Eyes back at me. All right, chin down a little bit. Good. Hold it there. Chin down more. Chin down more. Good. Hold it there, man. Hold it. Good. Don't move. Just like that. Hold it. And there you have a huge difference between the three. In fact, let's do it live so you can see it. Okay, so stay there for me. Don't move an inch. So we're going to turn these lights off. So now, inside my camera, you can see that the light's falling on nicely. Let's start from the beginning. Turn your face away. So now we turn the face to a point until his eye socket right there. Tilt, turn, stop. Eyes back at me. Good. Okay, so now we've got his face nicely lit. It's not touching his ear. Notice too that we can't see his left ear. Watch this. Turn your face this way. More. Stop. You see how his left ear is popping out? It can look a little bit weird. Either I get the ear all in or all out. In this case, all out. Stop. It's less distracting. So keep on looking at the camera. Watch what happens. We turn this light on. Boom. Separates him from the background. And then even further, adding depth and dimension, we add this light that gives us a really cool feel as well. And now we add a little bit of finesse to the overall expression. So give me a little hint of a squint and looking out this way. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Hold it there, hold it. Perfect. I love the fact that your eye leads in from the light from the background, leads into the subject. Of course, now the second light, the ice light that's closest to him, separates him from the background. Catch lights in the eyes. We've got shadow, depth, and dimension and form. It's a really cool way of actually photographing a guy. So remember, guys, lighting doesn't have to be that difficult. Start with one light. Simply turn the face towards a light source until both eyes are completely lit. Now you know you've got the right light on them. Make sure the actual catch lights in the eyes are in the 10 or 2 o'clock position. That's when you know you've got a good direction of light. And all you have to do is simply just actually add the expression. Whether it's actually a little hint of a squint, looking away, looking down, having some fun, whatever it may be. But every good photograph starts with really beautiful lighting that's flattering to the subject and meaningful and purposeful for who you're photographing. So remember, photographing men doesn't have to be difficult. Practice, practice, practice. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you liked the video, and if so, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications for future videos. Please leave a comment so we can connect and I can answer any of your questions. See you in the next episode, and don't forget, you don't have to be the best, you simply have to be better than last week. We'll see you soon.